Hello and welcome to the F1 podcast. It's me, AGX, and down the line, joining me on holiday for the first time, one of us on holiday talking, on my phone is the one and only Sorgan. Hello, Sorgan.
Hello everyone.
Oh, I love the setup we have. And it's good you're down the line because we're talking about the Italian Grand Prix, which is one of the most controversial Grand Prix for very little reason for the last few years, but one of the most exciting as well. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about what happened and what chaos ensued because it was a fun enough Grand Prix, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was.
It had some good moments.
Yeah, it was incredibly exciting at the start, and then the end was controversial, but everything in between was pretty bad. Literally, everyone was like 4 seconds away from each other for like huge portions of that race. It was mad. I haven't lost you, have I? I've lost you. No, right. We're gonna call Sorgan again. But yes, we're talking about the Italian Grand Prix in all its majesty. Hello, Sorgun. Sorry, that was
I'm back somehow just
issue with my phone. We're gonna have to maybe do this in 15 minutes, otherwise that might happen again. But it's fine. We're just gonna keep going. Right. So we start off with our biggest surprise. We both had a qualifying biggest surprise, weirdly enough. I predicted Antonelli to beat Russell in qualifying, which he did all right in qualifying, to be fair. I think he was a place below Russell.
he was extremely close in on time. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was a tenth or even less. So
Yeah.
very good from Antonelli.
Yeah, he was seventh and Russell was sixth. I'm very disappointed to miss out on that, I can't lie. And you had Hamilton pole, which for a second on Friday it seemed like would be the case.
Yeah, yeah, it was looking nice after practice one. Not as much after the rest of the weekend, but I mean he wasn't that far off.
No, no, exactly. He was definitely quick this weekend. There's a bit more pep to his step, shall we say. I like when Hamilton starts a bit far off and then just overtakes everyone in the first few laps. That's quite funny to watch. And he's done it quite a few times this season, like in Belgium, where he was, way back and then just overtakes everyone and then just sits in the same position until the end of the race. But yeah, no points for us on biggest surprise. But yeah, the qualifying was decently fun. And I think the fact that Max Verstappen qualified first was the huge shock, right?
Yes, that was incredible, honestly. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, there's been talk about like Red Bull have stopped looking at the analytics and are looking at what the driver wants to set up as and so on. And based on these last two races, it seems to be working with Verstappen anyway. A first and a second, pretty solid. He seems to be back in full form. Probably a bit too late to mount any sort of driver comeback, but you don't know. It's Verstappen, for goodness sake. But yeah, this is why for so long I had him as like I had him down as not doing well so far this season because it's these sort of performances where I'm like, yeah, that's Max Verstappen.
This weekend was quick. You saw you sooner than Q3. Yeah, he didn't have as good of a race as Max did, but I still feel like Red Bull was clearly on par, if not better than McLaren this weekend.
Yeah.
On top pace. Maybe thanks to Max, but still, like we haven't seen this in a while that McLaren could be beaten on pace.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the fact that we're going on to over performer. It has to go to Max, right?
Yep, exactly.
There's no one else I can really say. I think Albon did pretty solidly, but and yeah, but no, like, no one else can. It has to go to Max. It has to. which is pretty nuts because we'll get to it. But your extra bold prediction and my tragic team prediction, I'm looking at extremely poor now. On to underperformer. So underperformer, you had Charles Leclerc and I had I had Charles Leclerc and you had George Russell. I think they performed as well as they could this weekend. Yeah, it was a very, very basic George Russell and Charles Leclerc weekend. Not
Pretty much finished where their cars allowed them.
They pretty much finished where they averagely have finished all season, is what I'd say.
Yeah, crazy.
Maybe you could argue George Russell might be a place above Verstappen averagely, but Verstappen gets the first places, so
Yeah.
My brother was very annoyed at the Sky calling it a Verstappen masterclass. He was like, when George Russell won at Canada, it wasn't a George Russell masterclass, was it? I was like, I'm pretty sure they did call it that. Right, perfect team. Perfect team. I had Sauber. You had Williams. Williams had a goodish weekend with Albon. Not a overly perfect one. The same with Bortoletto, did fairly well, but Hulkenberg retired. Really, we're having one driver let us down for both of these, aren't we? I don't know who to give it to though.
Perfect team. Red Bull won the race, I guess.
Yeah, they sort of did the strategy as perfectly as they could.
It's not their fault that the Yuki just fell back during the race.
Yeah.
Yuki has had a really bad Grand Prix. He has had a decent qualifying, but his race management is atrocious, obviously.
It's weird to see the fact that he still can't get a grip of this car. Bear in mind how quick he was at the AlphaTauri at the start of the season. It's not even called that anymore. It's Red Bull Racing Balls or whatever rubbish. Anyway, yeah, I'd give it Red Bull as well. I can't think of anyone else. Tragic team. Can you think? We had Red Bull. So I had Red Bull, which obviously not. You had Aston Martin. Now, some people would argue here that McLaren deserve tragic team, but we'll get onto that later. I don't know. I can't think of the results. Obviously, Alonso retired, but I can't remember where Stroll came.
Stroll finished the points, I think. He was riding in the points, but the strategy team just fumbled a beatdown, basically. So no points for Aston after being very good in previous races. Honestly, it's shown.
Yeah, no, I think you get the point there. I can't lie. I think that's a point to you. Which now puts you ahead of me. Oh God. But yeah, I think I'd agree with you. After being so good for recent weeks, the fact that getting that performance, bit disappointing. But we go on to qualifying. As we talked about before, Max Verstappen was absolutely incredible in qualifying. We both had some risky plays here that didn't come off extremely well. We both had Albon and Sainz in our top 5. Now, obviously, Albon did well in the race, but qualifying, Albon and Sainz were outside the top 10. So we had a bit of egg on our faces there. But you start off with Russell in 5th. I put Albon. That neither of those are true because Hamilton, of course, came 5th. Oh, we have lost him yet again, ladies and gentlemen. Good day. I then had... We don't get any points for P4 either because I had Hamilton and you had Sainz. P3, still no points. We don't get any points at all. I'm looking at this. No points in qualifying.
Crazy.
I think the Max Verstappen first place just really put us off. So yeah, no points there. And then the race. Right, the race. Oh, I can't remember the exact result. I'm gonna have to look it up.
P4 Leclerc, P5 Russell, and Tony was.
Well, you had Sainz in P5. I had Verstappen. I had P4 Leclerc. Oh, I get a point. Nice. Yes, get in there. And then we both get a point for Norris in second. But otherwise, again, the Max Verstappen coming first really did ruin our entire strategy this weekend.
I think we got a P2, right? So I think we had Norris.
Yeah, we both had Norris in P2. So yeah, we got 2 points because our extra bold predictions both didn't come through. You wanted a double Red Bull DNF, and I had Hamilton wins the race, which, yeah, we were going bold there, weren't we? But yeah, we should talk about one Verstappen, just the incredible weekend from him. I know we talked about him in qualifying, but the race as well. The fact that he just held them off for so long. He had to re-overtake Norris after Norris overtook him at the start. He just flew on by and then was just up the road miles ahead for the entire race. It was incredibly well fought. I mean, you had the Sainz, I can't remember, Sainz someone crash that looked like it was gonna put a span in the works, and there would be a yellow flag and a safety car. Luckily, they got going. But yeah, this is one of the best Verstappen performances for me in a long time, because you just got to see everything Verstappen about it.
Yeah, exactly. Just completely flawless weekends. He couldn't have done things much better. And even the thing you mentioned, the Sainz Behrman incident, luckily didn't hamper his race, even though it would be unfortunate at the time. Probably would be a sprint on everyone's softs.
Yeah.
I still feel like Max would have kept the lead and eventually won.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it would be very unfortunate.
I want to also talk about the race start, because the race start was such a red herring, right? Because it was so fun. You had Hamilton going through the field. You had the Norris Verstappen beef. You had Oscar having to overtake Leclerc twice. It was incredible to watch.
That one overtake of Piastri on Leclerc
Yeah.
around the outside. It was one of the overtakes of the season around alongside Max in Imola on Piastri.
Yeah, it was superb. It was such a fun race start. And it was a big shame that the rest of the race couldn't give that, that incredibleness. It was a disappointment. It was a disappointment because it would have been amazing.
It was a big disappointment.
But yeah.
For a few laps, then Max took the lead and the race kind of stopped. Nothing was happening. Everyone was so far from each other.
Yeah.
And we had one of the most boring races until obviously the drama at the end. That was
right.
That was
Let's talk about the drama. So basically, what happens is Norris is like, right, Leclerc's catching Piastri. We both need to pit, right? They went long on their tyres because they were looking for a safety car to get past Verstappen. They were looking for that safety car, or at least to bring them closer. And when that safety car didn't come, they decided to pit. But Piastri was being closely followed by Leclerc, so Norris goes, okay, pit him first. They pit Piastri, they do an amazing pit stop, and he comes out still in third. They then pit Norris the next lap, and a huge mess up. I have no idea what that tyre guy was doing. And they lose. Norris loses, I think it was 5 or 6 seconds in the pit.
It was 5.9.
5.9, which of course puts him, despite the fact that he was holding about a 4-second gap to Piastri the whole race, it puts him behind Piastri. Now, then McLaren say, okay, you should swap. Right, and this is where the huge controversy comes from. Now, Do you want to go first?
I guess I should get. I should try. So that's basically McLaren. Like a few years ago, they were my favorite team, and they've simply become my least favorite team. Like literally, I don't know how do they do this for so many times. Like this has happened before. Like we've had these changes that are completely unnecessary caused by the team errors, and I was not happy with Hungary, and I'm even less happier now that they're essentially fabricating something that wasn't there. There was a team mistake, part of racing. They just told the championship leader to hand over his position to his closest rival, the only mathematical, let's be real, like Max is not catching them. What's happened to F1? I don't know when this never happened before. I don't think I've ever seen something like this. Like this is not the part of Formula One for me. I completely against both.
Oh no, not again. Okay, one sec. We're calling him back. Last time. Call, please. Please call. Right, there you go. Right, I'm going to have the opposite opinion here, so we'll get to that in a second. Hello, sorry about that.
Do you know my last words?
You were saying it's never happened in F1 before.
Yep. Essentially, I disagree with both decisions of team telling Piastri to let Norris through. Like this one is the biggest problem, right? But then Piastri agreed to it, which made me like, what? Why? They're fighting for a title. Team screws up. How is that Piastri's fault? Like, how is Piastri meant to give up a position? You'll never see this from any world champion at all. Like, no Max, Lewis, Alonso, even drivers like Charles, George, they would never do this. I don't know what McLaren did to their drivers, but this is not world champion mentality. For me, I completely disagree. He shouldn't have let Norris through. It's just power racing, as well as Hungary last year, right? This was kind of a payback, or whatever you could call it. Well, not payback, but
yeah,
there as well.
Yeah. Well,
we should have won Hungary, but team made a mistake, and Norris they let Norris undercut him, and they told Norris, who was technically at that point in the championship fight as well, to let his teammate through for a race win. That was bullshit as well. What is McLaren doing? Honestly, this is ridiculous. This is not our Formula One, and that team deserves all the hate they're getting. I'm just pissed off at everyone. That team was.
Look, I think everyone's overreacting, to be honest, in my personal opinion. They've done this before. They had precedent for it in Hungary. That was, Lando Norris trying to catch up a world championship. He complained a bit. He still definitely had a chance of being world champion then. People like to forget that. And, of course, he lets Oscar Piastri go for what should have been a deserved first win. I don't see any difference in this one, right? I get that it's between the two drivers, but it's McLaren's fault. Lando goes, okay, you can pit Piastri first because he needs to, and he's right, by the way. He needs to, because if they swap the other way round, Piastri's not only behind Leclerc, he's behind Russell as well, with only a few laps to overtake them to gain his positions back, which would have been a worse call, right? At least this way they had it in their power to affect the result. If they do it the other way, then Piastri's behind both of them, and has to find a way back. And look, I think he probably would have found a way back, but it would have been difficult, especially two cars to overtake in the last 10 laps as well. I understand your point. We haven't really seen this precedent in F1 before. We have had driver orders, all the way back to when that Ferrari told Michael Schumacher to let Rubens Barrichello through. And look, he did let Rubens Barrichello through, but then the sport decided to change, the result and so on and so forth. So it's always one of these things that's been in F1. I get your point that we don't really want to see it, but it has been a thing in F1. And my main thing is, right, no one's that mad. In McLaren, no one's angry. Piastri's not throwing his toys out the pram. Norris was, happy. None of them were just angry at each other. No one at McLaren's angry at each other. This is obviously a set. We talk about papaya rules, right? They have a set bit of rules that they have as a team. They've agreed to that. It's fair enough. They let them race. Whenever they race, they let them race. They obviously don't want them to crash, and they try and do their best to stop that happening. But they let them race, and this is just something that they obviously have as a set rule, and it's as you said, it's a payback. I think everyone else is just making this a huge thing. I see a lot of people talk about because Lando Norris retired last week. Are they going to force Piastri to retire as well to make it fair? No, they didn't do that. I would expect that reaction I'd expect the reaction we've seen from F1 fans this week if they'd done that, but they didn't. They just were like, okay, let's make it a fair result. Let's be honest, Lando deserved that second place. He was keeping Piastri at a wide stance. Obviously, Piastri had a bit of difficulty at the start, but so did Norris. It's equal measuring. And yeah, Norris was gaining on him. Lost a bit of time at the end of it, but that he had the huge gap on him, and he was coming back at him anyway. It saves any controversy of crashing or anything beyond that. There's a set rule for papaya. Piastri was allowed to race him afterwards as well. Like they didn't just go, okay, let him pass and you're not allowed to race him, which is mildly unfair on Norris, because if the pit stop went fine, they wouldn't race. Obviously, Norris had the good set of tyres, so just managed to get on with it and extend that gap to a point where they weren't going to race each other. But I just think everyone's making quite a huge reaction for something very little. It wasn't even for a race win in the end. It was for second and third. That's my opinion.
It's fair to call what I feel like is an overreaction. Just that I completely disagree with everything that happened. I just they have the papaya rules. I absolutely hate them. I don't know what that team is doing. This is just not what I feel like is the proper way of doing things. And I mean,
So,
very
but like,
I feel like it is not a big deal. I feel like if this is accepted as something that can happen again, that's the problem. If it's a one-off, I feel like last year in Hungary, I feel like they would like learn from their mistake to not do this again, but they instead did it again. That's what really.
But like, it's not hurt anyone. And you say.
It hurt the sport.
I don't think it hurt the sport though. It was for second and third place.
If that gap is close at the end,
and also,
if this decides a championship, guys, just better hope.
But worse stuff is defined championships. No one talks about the fact Max Verstappen, got basically given the 2021 championship. And that was like way worse than this. That was the sport hurting itself. This is a team that have a very set rules between their drivers that they just continue on with. The sport isn't going to be irreparably damaged through this. They just have a set of rules that they keep to themselves, you know, and they dish it out equally.
Well, that's the subjective part of the sport. Honestly, it's just how it is. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people are indifferent, like you. And yeah, like I think life goes along, and I don't feel like it will just bring anything. It's just that. Yeah, I just simply disagree with this decision and everything that happened. Just it's my subjective opinion on things. They can vary among people, obviously. Yeah, I don't think I can talk about it anymore.
That's all right.
At a point, it really ruined my day because I didn't have like much of a good day, and I've had like the most boring race to end with such a bullshit.
Bless you. Right,
Yeah.
well, we are.
The only thing good about that race was Max winning, and I'm not even a Max fan, so I think that tells you anything.
Yeah, Hulkenberg retiring straight away as well. That was painful for you, wasn't it?
I'll talk about it.
Well, we're going to end this video. Thank you very much for everyone for watching. Let us know your opinion in the comments section below, and tell us, you know, what you think they should have done or what you think was fair. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, peace.
Peace.